Hello, guys. Welcome to this episode. It's your go-to code guy, Wisdom. And in this episode, we are going to continue talking about slicing as a subtopic under strings. Okay. So in the last episode, we introduced the subtopic slicing, and we saw how to take the whole string into consideration, okay? And then we talked about slicing. We said slicing is a way to like take a part of a string or the whole thing into consideration. That is, if we had the word, for instance, on your screen slicing, you wanted to, if Python wanted to take SLI out, how does Python do this? So to continue in this episode, we are going to see. We've seen in the last episode how to take everything out into consideration. So in this episode, we are going to see how Python takes part of a string, okay, into consideration. So if you've not seen the last episode, it will be helpful for you to go back and see what we did there for you to get a better understanding. And if you've not been following us, you could always go to the catalog section. And if you're watching from TikTok, then it's a series on string we are still on. Then if you're watching on YouTube, you can always go over to my YouTube channel. It's just on the wall of my profile on TikTok. So head over to my YouTube channel. There's a link there, just on the wall of my profile. And then you go head over to the playlist section. And then you see I've made a series on string. Okay. Now for this episode, we wanted to take into consideration what we'll talk about how we can actually use slicing. Remember how we slice is a colon, how we can use this, how Python uses this to take out parts of the string or the whole thing. So in the last episode, we saw how we could take out the whole string. Now we are going to see what if we wanted to take out pyt. Okay, from understanding so far of this topic or subtopic, we know that we've seen how Python counts, where we said p is 0, y is 1, and t is 2. Okay, so for instance, if we wanted to now take out maybe pyt, one would assume that pyt, okay, 0, 1, 2. So instead of the we should put 0 colon 2. So one would say, since we wanted to take out py2, then the number that should be after the colon should be 0 colon 2, because we are taking p, which is 0, y 1, and t 2 into consideration. But that's not how it works. So let us try to print this out and see what it gives us. Okay, now remember, if we wanted to print this out, we use the curly arrow button on our mobile device, that's on our keyboard, the one beneath there. So when we hit on this, you see it only takes out py, and I'll tell you why. So what Python does is, when slicing, is when you put in 0, right, colon 2, it doesn't take 2, the character that falls under 2, into consideration. It takes everything else before 2. So instead of taking out pyt, it doesn't take out t, and it only takes out py. So remember, when you're slicing and then you want to take, for instance, let's do this one more time before we do it the last time. Wanted to say, okay, let's put into consideration pyth. So usually one would say, okay, since it's pyth, it should be 0 colon 0 for p, 1 for y, 2 for t, then h is 3. So therefore we should say 0 colon 3. But this won't work. If we wanted to take out pyth, we should go a bit further, okay, because it always doesn't take the last number into consideration. So to get pyth, since p is 0, y is 1, t is 2, um, h is 3, right? Then we should go beyond that, because we know that Python will always not take the last one if we are to use 3. So we should say 4. Okay, so when we do 4, which is supposed to be O, but it won't take O into consideration. It will take every other thing before O. Now, when we, if to confirm this, let us run this program and see what happens. Okay, Remember, this is the interpreter interface. Okay, usually before this time, I think before 2 or 3 episodes before this episode, we'll be making use of the editor interface. This is the interpreter interface. Okay, so it's quite different. So to run this program, let us hit on the enter button, the call the arrow one beneath. So when we hit on this, you see it takes into consideration PYTH. Okay, usually it's supposed to go PYTHO when we count it: 0 for P, Y for 1, T for 2, H for 3. You understand? But sorry, 0 O for 4, but it doesn't take the fourth one into consideration, but takes everything else. So remember, okay, just to do one more to see. Let's do one more example so that this can be smooth in your memory. Okay, let's say we wanted to take out PYT. Okay, let's say we wanted to take out PYTHO. Okay, so 0 for P, 1 for Y, 2 for T, 3 for H, 4 for O, but we shouldn't stop there because Python will take 4 into consideration. Then we should make it a bit, just one more, which is 5 for N, but it won't take out N. Okay, so it takes out everything before N. So that is 0, that is P, slice it until O. Okay, when you do the counting, you see that we are slicing until O. Although 5 falls on that end, but it takes everything before that. So when we hit on enter, you see. So it says 0 for P, Y for 1, 2 for T, 3 for H, 4 for O, and then 5 for N. But what? It doesn't take 5. It doesn't take 5 and N into consideration. It takes everything else before it. So it's a bit long, but I believe it was quite understandable. This episode, I believe this episode was quite understandable. Okay. I don't think I've left anything out, guys, but if I have, I'll communicate in the description or the comment section. But that's it for this episode. That's it about slicing. The introduction we saw in the last episode, and then we continue talking about how to slice in parts in this episode. So see you guys in the next episode. Bye for now, guys.